It was late, much later than we planned, when the party finally died down. People were drunk, laughing too loudly, spilling out into the cold night air. Music thinned into distant thumps, and somewhere inside, someone was still arguing with someone else about who stole whose drink. But she was standing alone. Anya, my best friend's older cousin. The girl who never stayed long at social events, the girl who always said she was fine, even when she didn't look it. Tonight she looked tired, shadows under her eyes, a faint tremble in her fingers, like she'd had a long day before she ever came to this party. I wasn't expecting to see her there. I definitely wasn't expecting what happened next. She stepped outside, wrapping her arms around herself, breathing slow and shaky. Her coat wasn't warm enough for the freezing air. I had just come out to get some fresh air myself when she noticed me. Her eyes softened with relief. "Hey," she said, trying to smile, "you're still here." "Yeah," I replied, "you okay?" She looked down at her shoes. Then she whispered, Can you drive me home, please?" It wasn't a casual request. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't even a favor. It was a plea. Her voice broke so gently I barely caught it. I stepped closer. "Of course, are you all right?" She nodded, though her eyes begged me not to ask anything else. Not here, not now. I walked her to my car. She kept looking over her shoulder like someone might follow. When we got in, she locked the doors immediately. I started the engine. "Long night?" I asked gently. She swallowed. "Long year." The streetlights passed across her face, showing parts of the pain she tried to hide. She kept rubbing her hands, her leg bouncing nervously. "You don't have to tell me anything," I said, "but if someone bothered you—" "No," she cut in quickly. "Not someone at the party, it's just everything." She leaned her head against the window. "Everything feels too heavy lately." The drive was quieter after that, soft, tense, fragile. 10 minutes later, she opened her mouth. "My apartment building, it doesn't feel safe." I slowed. "Why?" She didn't answer for a long time. Then she whispered, "Last week, someone tried to follow me in." My chest tightened. "What?" She nodded, looking down. "It was late. I was alone. I pretended I forgot something and left, but ever since then, every time I get home, I feel like someone's behind me." I clenched the steering wheel. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" "Because," she looked at me with tired eyes, "I didn't want to bother anyone." God. She always carried everything herself. When we reached her apartment building, she didn't move. She just stared at the door from inside the car, frozen. "You don't have to go alone," I said softly. "Would you walk me upstairs?" she asked. "Of course." She let out a breath she'd been holding for too long. Inside the hallway, the air felt colder, heavier. She stood closer to me, her shoulder brushing mine. Her breathing got quieter as we approached her door. She unlocked it with shaking hands. "Come in for a minute," she asked, "just till I'm settled." I nodded and stepped inside. Her apartment was small, warm, and quiet, but something in the air felt off. A forgotten scarf on the table, a chair slightly out of place. She walked in slowly, scanning the room, making sure nothing was touched. Then she finally sat down on the couch and let herself breathe. "Do you want water?" she asked automatically, then shook her head. "Sorry, why am I asking you? You're the one helping me." I knelt in front of her. "Anya," I said gently, "you don't need to apologize." Her eyes softened. She reached out, her fingers brushing mine, hesitant, scared, but needing connection. "Thank you for staying with me." "You're safe," I whispered. She held my hands tighter. "Can I ask you something?" she whispered. "Anything." Her next words were barely audible. Where do you sleep tonight?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" She took a breath, her voice breaking slightly. "I don't want to be alone. Not tonight, not after everything, and if you leave, I'm not sure I'll sleep at all. My chest tightened. Anya, I can stay, of course. She looked up, eyes filled with something between fear and fragile hope. But where do I sleep? I asked gently. She opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered. Wherever you want, the couch or if you don't mind. Her eyes dropped to the floor. I don't want to sleep alone either. Her voice trembled not from desire, but from vulnerability, from trust. I sat beside her, slowly, carefully. I won't leave you, I said softly. Not tonight, not if you need me here. Her breath hitched. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her hand sliding into mine like it had always belonged there. I needed someone, she whispered. I just didn't think it would be you. Her voice cracked on the last word. Hours passed quietly. She slowly drifted to sleep against me, her fingers still gripping my hand, her breathing warm against my neck. Outside, the night was cold, dark, and silent. Inside, she slept safely for the first time in weeks. And I stayed awake, watching the door, listening for every sound, making sure nothing came near her. Because she had asked me one simple question. So where do I sleep? And without saying it directly, she already knew my answer. Right here. By her side. As long as she needed.